Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavirjam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Vidhiyate. So can you see my video on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 I'm using an iPad, so it's a bit new. So we have started with the study of Jivaha. That's how the Tattvabodha started, talking about Adhikaritvam, Mumukshutvam, etc. And then talked about the Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram, and then definitions of these important concepts in our Shastram and also in our study of Vedanta. Then from Jivaha, the Swamiji took us to the discussion of Ishvaraha. So Ishvaraha and Jagat identical in this explanation. So Pancha Mahabhutaha or Mahabhutani. So we talked about Sukshma Bhuta Srishti, Sukshma Bhautika Srishti, and then Sthula Bhuta Srishti and Sthula Bhautika Srishti. So that discussion ended with the so-called Panchikaranam. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Okay. Panchikaranam. So the tamas aspect of the Pancha Mahabhutas have become this Sthula Shariram, and implying that it has become this entire Jagat. That is where the discussion of Ishvara and Jagat stopped. Then now we are at this third section, Jiveshwara Aikya. This is the discussion. This is where we are. So they say in America there is a nice statement I heard. Missing the forest for the trees. Correct? Have you heard that statement? So yeah, so Jiveshwara Aikyam. that is the topic we are currently studying within this Tattvabodha. So let us chant these couple of lines here. 3.4 we can chant. So Bhagya, if you can unmute yourself. Evam upadhibhedat जीवेश्वर भेद दृष्टि Yeah, Venkateshan ji, can you unmute yourself?
Sorry.
Yavat paryantam tishtati tavat paryantam janma maranadi rupa samsarah na nivartate. Yeah. And we can chant the next one also. Tasmat karanat na जीवेश्वरयोः भेदबुद्धिः स्वीकार्या. Yeah. So Ashutosh, Mohini, try unmuting yourself so I can get some feedback. Yeah. So if there's any audio problem, just let me know.
Okay.
So he was talking about na nivartate. This samsaraha, he introduced the word. So we discussed that last time. Samsaraha means a life that we all have experienced, so which is characterized by this janma, mrityu, etc. and sukha, etc. Here we should add sukha dukkha. That is enough. Janma, mrityu, sukha dukkha is enough. It characterizes our life. And so that kind of samsara na nivartate, cannot be escaped, cannot be removed, cannot be retreated from. Nivartate. Nivrittihi means you don't have a choice to say no. Like you go to a restaurant and they say, if you're having a thali and then you're eating and then the person comes and then he offers more. So more, some sabji, you can say no. That is enough. You can say. But here you can't say no to this samsara. And so na nivartate, he says. Don't have a choice there. And but then he also puts a clause. So yavat paryantam tishtati. As long as something is, he says. What is that something? Jiveshwara Bheda Drishti. As long as I look, I see this difference between myself and the world. As long as I see a difference between myself and Ishvara. Very strong statement he's making. A huge statement, correct? And there's no way I can guess these things that the Shastram is talking about. So, evam upadi bhedat. Why do I see a difference? Because there is a difference in the upadhi. So, the jiva's upadhi is avidya, and Ishvara's upadhi is maya. So, that we saw earlier. Maya upadhi san atma ishvara iti uchyate. So, there also that Mahavakya has been mentioned. Atma appears as Ishvara with the upadhi of Maya. Very, very interesting statement. So he has dropped the word Brahma there. He is not using the word Brahma because he is assuming now we have an idea that Atma and Brahma are identical. And so as long as I am under the spell of the Maya Upadhi and Avidya Upadhi, as long as I take the wave to be water, as long as I take the wave to be Satyam, ignoring water, ignoring the status of water, until such time, I will be under the spell of samsara. I will have this samsara. This is what he is saying in that statement. So now he makes the next statement. Tasmat karanat na jiveshwarayoho veda buddhihi svikarya. Tasmat karanat. Tasmat means therefore. Therefore, karanat, for that reason. For which reason? For this reason that I have just explained, like that he's saying. This whole upadhi, I am under the spell of the upadhi, and as long as I am under that spell, I will have this samsara will continue, which means janma mrityu cycle will continue. Like that he's made a statement. Tasmat karanat, for that reason, Jiveshwarayoho Veda Buddhihi na Svikarya. So that is a way to do Anvaya of this sentence. Anvaya means rearrangement of words. So Tasmat Karanat Jiveshwarayoho Veda Buddhihi na Svikarya. So that na you should bring in front of Svikarya. So our entire life is based on these interactions. This Dvaita Buddhi only. Dvaita is there. So the mother is different from the child, daughter. And so interaction happens. All the Palana Poshana happens. And there is father, mother, there are other family members. Then the child begins to explore the world. And the world is too big and exciting for the child. And this is how life goes on. So therefore, the basis of every pursuit is duality. I am hungry and then I have to have food. So that is duality. So I don't eat myself. I eat food which is cooked by somebody else also. And so then therefore there is so much duality involved here. Correct? So if a pursuit of action implies duality, whereas this non-duality, the one we are talking about, is a pursuit of what? If somebody asks, what will you say? It is a pursuit of knowledge. Knowledge, because what stops me, what is standing in between me and samsara, what is standing between me and the sukha dukkha, is avidya, is ignorance. And the only way to remove ignorance is knowledge. Action cannot be removed. I mean, action cannot remove ignorance. So, Atmabodha, Shankaracharya says, avirodhataya karma. So, karma cannot do anything to ignorance. And so, why are you focused so much on karma? Like that he starts, like that he says in one of the verses, karma only confirms my ignorance. Okay, something to think about. Karma, action, only confirms my ignorance. Why? Because karma implies karta. I am a doer. And that notion is born of ignorance. And so, the more I do karma, with this karta being very much there, the more it is clear that the karta continues, and therefore avidya continues, and no amount of karma can change that situation. So therefore, that we have to keep in mind. Then what happens after knowledge if you say, wait a minute, so after knowledge all karma stops or what? No, after knowledge karma doesn't stop. Karma happens, but kartritvam is negated. Correct? Doership is negated. I am not a doer is very clear. Actions happen through this body, mind, sense complex. That clarity is there. And so non-duality implies pursuit of knowledge. This also we have seen before. Now, what our Shastram says is, it asks the question, can you prove duality? You say there is duality. So I ask the question, can you prove duality? Then you say, yes, I see you. Therefore, there is duality. Two people are there. There are so many people in this class. We are all living so far away. Of course, there is duality. What are you talking about? Now, the argument you are making is perception proves duality. That is what you are saying. The fact that I am seeing things and those things are not me, and those things cannot be me, like that you're saying. But then I will ask this question. There is a dream. You are dreaming in the night. You have experienced a dream. And the entire dream world is nothing but you. We have seen this before. Correct? Entire dream world is you. And but if the entire dream world is you, how come there is such a lively dream where there are so many people, where there are so many things, where you're eating good food, where you're running, walking, talking, and in real life you did not get good exercise. So in dream I got a very good exercise. I went to the gym and worked out for an hour. All this happened. How come? And are there so many people? Are there so many things? Is the world so multifaceted? That is the dream I had. And I saw trees, I saw skyscrapers, I saw the sky, I even saw the stars, and I saw a comet falling down. So many things are happening, all in dream. And I wake up and say, oh, that was all dream. Yeah, that was all dream. But in dream, you don't say that was all dream. In dream, you quietly enjoyed the entire dream. And there was no complaint. And everything happened just fine. And all along, I am the creator of the dream. I became everybody. I became the tree. I became manifest as the comet and the stars. So what can you say about that? Perception seems to be there in dream. And there is interaction, there is talking. And here I am there in the dream and I am seeing so many things. Perception is happening. So what we say is, perception cannot prove duality. Please make a note. Perception cannot prove duality. Not enough. Sorry. Vedanta will say sorry. You can't prove it. Not yet proved. And so similar argument, suppose you say, I count so many things. There are so many things in this house and many things are there. And look, and you arrange all these in a line and say there are so many things. These are all different from me. That's still, sorry, perception and an apparent appearance of duality does not duality. That is what we will say. I see variety. I see so much variety. How can variety be possible if there is no duality? See, when we study in school and college, and if you look, I was a chemical engineer. So one thing that interesting that comes out of this is the raw material for many of the chemicals is crude oil. Crude oil means, you know what it is? It is oil that you dig in your backyard, you keep going down, and then you find this oil, and then that oil is extracted out. That is crude, and it has to be processed, and they process it in refineries. They process, and then they make, they make this petroleum, and different kinds of petrols, gasolines are being made. There is the automobile gasoline, there is the jet fuel, and then there are further chemicals, and then chemicals like alcohols and all these things are made. And then there is natural gas as another raw material. So when you take crude out, you get natural gas also. These days they're talking about shale, and that becomes raw material for all these chemicals. So you are applying nail polish in your home, standing in front of the mirror. That nail polish has alcohol, which is coming from the same natural gas from which all other cooking gas has come, and so many other products have come, ethylene, propylene. And then that same ethylene, when it is compressed in a reactor, it becomes polyethylene. What is polyethylene? Polyethylene is this plastic, the grocery bag that you're using, any other plastic bottles that you've seen, all this plastic which is now so all pervasive, that is also from that same natural gas, from the same crude. Isn't it amazing? And you say there are so many things, but the chemical engineer says, hey, I see only crude everywhere. Crude from which all certain parts are removed. It's purified. It is made lighter. That is what it is. So the entire world of chemicals is just a few raw materials. And so where is the question of duality? That argument can come. I don't see any duality, they will say, because everything is same. In the eyes of a chemical engineer, everything is the same chemical. In the eyes of a physicist, everything is the same atom, same electrons, protons, and neutrons. So if I say, hey, the table, I am looking at the table is different from me. Thankfully, it is different from me. Otherwise, now it is what, 6:45, 7 o'clock here. And after some time, the stomach will get hungry and I will demand breakfast. And thankfully, the table doesn't demand breakfast. Otherwise, I have to deal with the table. So I'm very happy that table remains what it is. But then, if the physicist asks me, wait a minute, you are a bunch of electrons and protons and neutrons. The table also is a bunch of electrons, protons, and neutrons. Hey, the air in between also is a bunch of electrons, protons, and neutrons. What is it that separates these protons from each other? Where is the boundary? Tell me, what is this boundary that makes you say duality is there? Correct? It's an arbitrary, maybe not that arbitrary, but it's something that there is a piece of solid in front of you, and that solid seems to remain like the same solid, and so we call that as a different object. Fine, go ahead and call it as an object, but it is different from everything else. If you say, then even the physicist will not agree with you. Audio is okay?
Yes. It's good.
Yeah, if the audio is okay, what I can do is I can turn off my video. If I turn off the video, then the audio will get better. So if the audio problem, just let me know. So the physicist also will question this. It doesn't. You don't need to be a big Vedanti to argue like this. The physicist will argue like this. And so then we will go a step further, and I will ask a question. Shastram will ask a question. Suppose I say, I'm hearing birds chirping. I just heard birds chirping because it is early in the morning. Suppose I say that. Now, Shastram will ask the question, hey, what did you do to hear the birds? Did you do anything to hear the birds? You have a bunch of ears which are still working, and the sounds are being created by some birds there outside. And as long as the ears work, as long as the mind is not asleep, and it's alive, it's awake, it's active, there is no choice for the mind but to pick up the sounds. Correct? No choice. The perception will happen. You cannot stop it. When the system is set up in such a way that that the perception is going to happen regardless of what I do. What is it that I have done in order to hear these sounds? Where does this I come? I really doesn't come. So this is a very important revelation, that perceptions happen. It is not that I am somehow doing something which creates the perception. And perceptions happen, and then the mind processes it, and then you can further process it. And it is a bird, it is a cuckoo, and all this, I make some conclusions. All that happens, but the perception is given. So therefore, this I, if you start analyzing this, you will find that the role of I is really not as much as what I think it is, what I have made it to be. Okay. So then what is perception? Hey, there is an object in front of me. There is object consciousness. And then I call myself to be an observer of that object. Okay. Of that table, I am an observer. But I have given myself the state of the observer. I have given that object the status of so-called tableness. I have superimposed on consciousness. And so everything is a superimposition. And the object consciousness is constantly changing. And the subject consciousness also is constantly changing. I'm a speaker now. I'm a hearer now. I'm an eater now. I'm a walker, because doctors ask me to walk morning and evening. So walking has become very important now. And so I'm a walker, etc., etc. It just goes on. So that subject consciousness also constantly is changing. Everything has the ashraya of Brahma. So this Brahma, everything is operating in the plank of consciousness. Sat Chit Ananda sustains everything. Like the water sustains the wave. Wherever you want in the ocean, you can go. You can point out to various different types of waves, but finally in the end, every wave is nothing but water. So therefore, this idea that perception proves duality should be given up. That is a wrong idea. No way, perception doesn't prove duality. In fact, we will say perception proves non-duality. Perception proves non-duality. How is that? Perception, how it proves non-duality? There must be something common between me and the object I am perceiving. Okay? There must be something common between me and the object I am perceiving. Without that commonality, there cannot be perception. And that common entity is consciousness, which pervades me and the object. That is why perception is possible. This is what Vedanta, this is the kind of insight Vedanta brings to us. So instead of somebody saying perception proves duality, we will say perception doesn't prove duality, my dear, and you are perceiving so many things in the dream, and there is no duality in the dream. It is just pure you, pure consciousness, from which the entire dream world is manifest. Same thing here in this world also, in the so-called real world, you say, waking world, you say, and whatever adjective I use here, beautiful world, you say, scary world, you say, doesn't matter. That world is also a manifestation of that same Chit consciousness. And so we saw earlier that avichara siddhi prakritya, he mentioned that prakritya, he mentioned because my birth starts with ignorance and that ignorance remains with me, I make this mistake of taking this Bheda as real, taking this differences as absolutely real. We don't say there is no difference. Remember that. We don't say, Vedanta doesn't say there is no wave. Wave is there, but wave is not Satyam. Wave is Mithya. The existence that all the things that the wave has taken ownership to really doesn't belong to the wave. The existence of the wave belongs to water. Water is what gives existence to the wave. Okay. So that, not knowing that, I take everything as Satyam. I take everything as absolutely real. And then what happens after that? I suffer on account of that. Because that is not Satyam. That is not Satyam. So suffering means samsara. I can suffer. If I don't suffer now, I may suffer later. And so this samsara nivritti na nivartate, he mentioned that earlier. Yavat paryantam, as long as this bheda buddhihi, this vision of duality is there in me. Therefore, he says here, Veda buddhihi na swikarya. Please do not entertain or please do not take this differences, Veda, as real, as Satyam. Veda buddhihi na swikarya. Don't accept it. Don't accept the sun is, you say sun is moving around the earth. Don't accept that as real. That is what the teacher will say in school. Don't think it is real. It is a perception, all right. It is a, if you take that sun revolving around the earth as real, then you are making a mistake. That is what the subject will tell you. Physics will tell us that. Likewise, here the Shastram is saying, go ahead, engage in all the transactions, but the reality, you must understand what it is. The reality of all the objects in this world is that same Chit, same Shuddha Chaitanyam. So that is what he's saying here. Now, let's read the next one. Very interesting sentence here. So, Ashutosh, go ahead and repeat, and everybody else can repeat, staying muted. Nano
Nano
Sahankarasya
Sahankarasya
Kinchignasya
Kinchignasya
Jivasya
Jivasya
Nirahankarasya
Nirahankarasya
Sarvajnasya
Sarvagnasya
Ishwarasya.
Ishvarasya.
So in your book, it probably says Sarvasyeshwarasya, correct?
Yes.
Sarvajnasyeshwarasya. So I'm
Yes.
splitting all the words. Again, this is the play of what is called Sandhi in Sanskrit. So it's a good, if you're not used to it, you can get used to it. So this, when Sarvajnasya and Ishwarasya combine, it becomes Sarvajnasyeshwarasya. So it's not a printing mistake or anything. That is how Sanskrit is. So you can make a mark in the side if you want. You can put a comma, etc. Sarvajnasya
Sarvagnasya
Ishwarasya
Ishvarasya
Tattvamasi
Tattvamasi
Mahavakyat
Mahavakyat
Katham
Katham
Abheda Buddhi
Abheda Buddhihi
Syat
Syat
Ubhayoho
Ubhayoho
Viruddha Dharma
Viruddha Dharma
Akrantatvat.
Akrantatvat.
Yeah. So a long sentence. So the sentence starts with the word nanu. So now the student is asking the question, what you're saying that the whole world is Ishvara and myself is all identical? It's so difficult for me to accept this. How is this possible? That is what he's saying in this entire sentence. An entire sentence raises an objection. I'm sorry, I am not able to, I have some objections. That is what he's saying here. Because this statement seems absurd to me. Absurd. How is it absurd? Because who is Jivaha? Jivaha already defined earlier, and he reminds us Jivasya. So you look at the first three words, Sahankaras, after the Nanu, the second, third, and fourth word, Sahankarasya, Kinchignasya, Jivasya. That is all referring to Jiva. So of this Jiva, who is endowed with Ahankara. Ahankara means this idea that I am so and so, I am this much, I accomplished this much, I have to do so much more, and this is me, this is my family, all this I say. That person, Jiva, who has this identity, this Ahankara provides that identity, correct? Without that identity, we can't transact with each other. So that's the person I am. And moreover, he uses another word called kinchignaha. Kinchignaha. Kinchit in Sanskrit, kinchit means a little. Kinchit, somewhat. So, how much Chinese do you know? So, let's say, I think somebody, one of our students used to travel to China. I don't know, Ashutosh did that or not, I don't know. Somebody mentioned
No.
it, I forget.
Yeah.
So, he goes to China, Sandeep probably. So, goes to China and comes back. And he has traveled in this maglev and all these high-speed trains and all that. So, once in a while, he tells us these stories. And so, we ask him, okay, Sandeep, how many trips you have made? Oh, I made about a dozen trips. So how much Chinese do you know? He says, kinchit. Kinchit. Little bit I know. So just enough to manage. Survival is so important. And especially food. When it comes to food, that kind of survival is even more important. And especially for a vegetarian in China, survival can be even more challenging. And so you must know a little more than kinchit Chinese in order to survive there, I suppose. So therefore he says kinchit. So same kinchit here. Kinchit jnaha. We have to pick that word jnaha. As in jnanam. That jna is there. The jnaha means one who knows. Jnaha means one who knows. Jnaha itself is a complete word. And kinchit jnaha means what? The one who knows a little. One who knows a little. So the jiva can take credit for knowing a little. That is what he says. And he's honest. This person who raises the objection is honest. He's saying, even though I am the CEO of this great big company, and whether it is Microsoft or this or that, even though I am the greatest author, even though I am the greatest scholar or researcher or whatever, still I am a kinchignaha. Kinchignaha. I know. Compared to other people, I know a lot. But compared to Ishvara, compared to what is there to be known, I know only a little bit. That is called kinchignaha. Correct? And then what? That kind of a jiva is there. And then now, this Ishvarasya. So next 3 words you look. Nirahankarasya, Sarvajnasya, Ishvarasya. So there he is describing Ishvara. He says, but of this Ishvara, who is Nirahankaraha. Nirahankaraha. Who has no ahankara. So Ishvara has no ahankara. Why ahankara is not there? Because everything is Ishvara. When everything is Ishvara, ahankara is not needed. Ahankara is needed only for transactions. Ishvara will engage with whom? So Ishvara, suppose, gets bored and I want. So we have all these stories, no doubt. Vishnu is there, Lakshmi is there, and Narada comes in between and creates some excitement. All this goes on. But Vishnu can't complain that I'm getting bored. Please call Narada and ask him to come. He can't say that. Then we have a problem. So Vishnu got tired, it seems. So I'm tired. I want to take some nap. And then, by the way, let's invite Narada home for dinner. So we have been missing him. He hasn't visited us for a long time. So that is not possible. So Nirahankaraha and Sarvajnaha also, he says. Sarvajnaha. Previously Kinchignaha. Previously Alpajnaha. Alpa means little. Here Sarvajnaha. Sarvam Janati. Because the world implies so much knowledge, and whatever knowledge is needed is known. Without that knowledge, the world cannot come about anyway. Therefore, Ishvaraha is Sarvajnaha. So on the one hand, ahankaraha, on the other hand, nirahankaraha, on the one hand, alpajnaha, kinchignaha, and on the other hand, sarvajnaha. And so he says, these are the two sides of the equation. One side of the equation is alpajnaha, other side of the equation is sarvajnaha. And he says, you are quoting this Tattvamasi iti Mahavakyat. You are saying Tat Tvamasi, that Ishvara is you. You're saying Katham. Katham means how. How is that possible? How this Abheda Buddhihi? You are saying, you please do not entertain Veda Buddhihi. So here he is using the word Abheda Buddhihi. Abheda Buddhihi means what? The vision of non-difference. Non-difference, Abheda, between Ishvara and Jiva. Katham Syat. How that would be possible? With this kind of a gulf between these two entities, Jiva and Ishvara, how you are asking me to look at these as one? I don't understand this. This is what he's saying. And he gives one more reason also. Ubhayoho viruddha dharma akrantatvat. Being possessed of different qualities. Viruddha dharma. Viruddha means opposite. Dharma means attribute. This dharma doesn't mean righteousness, etc., right, wrong, etc. Dharma has another meaning. It means attribute or qualities. So, different qualities. Ishvara and Jiva have different qualities. Therefore, I don't see how there can be abheda buddhi. How there can be, how I can accept what you say. See, the statement Tattvamasi, Tat Tvam Asi, that you are, or you are that. That statement is a grammatically correct statement. Grammatically, there is nothing wrong with it. So, you can have a statement that is grammatically correct, but it doesn't make sense. Is it possible to have a grammatically correct statement, but it doesn't make sense? Suppose I show you. Here is a square circle. Here is a circular square. Suppose I say, here is a circular square. I show you, I draw a square and tell you, here is a circular square. Now, the English teacher cannot put a wrong on that sentence because that is a grammatically correct sentence. Circular is an adjective, square is a noun. Here is a circular square is a perfectly grammatically correct sentence. But the listener, when they say circular square, what sense they will get out of it? No sense. No sense. So class started today, and then you ask me, Jayakumar ji, you always come to class on time, maybe plus or minus 1 minute, 2 minutes. Today it happened 5 minutes. We have never. That's very unusual, Jayakumar ji. What happened? Can you tell us? Then I will say, see, yesterday night what happened? Coimbatore has a lot of elephants. So one elephant came, and you know what? It went into my ear, right ear. It went into my right ear, and then I was a bit shaken up, and then I was wondering what to do, what happened. I was just wondering. Then after some time, you know what happened? The elephant came out of my left ear, and then it just went away. Didn't do anything else, just went away. So I was a bit disturbed by this. Then somehow, I shook up and then I woke myself up, and then it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and but I had to bit disturbed, so I slept a little longer after that, and then therefore I was 5 minutes late. I tell you this story. Now, every sentence in the story is perfect. You understood this very well. And because English, I spoke in English, you understand English, and you understood everything I said. You could even, some of you probably even visualized it. The elephant entering the ear. We should visualize all these things. And these animators are so good. That's how this Walt Disney has become so popular. Because we love to, all human beings, regardless of their age, they just love to see these things. And so I say this. And not only I say it, but I say it seriously. I'm not smiling. I'm not laughing. I'm very serious. Okay. And then you don't know what to make out. Is Jayakumarji serious? I asked a very simple question. You were a bit late today, 5 minutes. What happened? And he is giving me this big story. What is this? And then class happens. Then after a couple of weeks, something like some situation arises, and I became late to class, 10 minutes late this time. And I give a reason why I'm 10 minutes late. I say, I was in Mumbai, and a lot of rains in Mumbai. And you asked me, okay, Mumbai rains. Jayakumarji, how did you come? Airport is closed, and trains have stopped. They're not going anywhere. And then I say, yeah, I know that. That is why. But then I had a class, Tattvabodha class. How can I miss this class? You're all waiting. And so I wanted to come. So I decided, I just created my own pushpa. And it will take me about 1 hour to come here. So I started at 4 o'clock and I came. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of rain on the way also. So instead of 1 hour, it actually took me 2 hours to come. And I came here and then I freshened up. And so here I am. This story I give. And I'm serious. And you guys don't know what to do. Whether to laugh or whether this man is serious. This is the second time he's doing it. That too. First time maybe you can let go. This is the second time. And I go on another day. I give another story. I was going on the way in the bus. There were no restaurants. We were all hungry. But I decided there was some grass. A lot of lush green grass was there. And I had some grass and some trees were there. I plucked some leaves and there were some stones also, some nice round stones. And I like round stones, so I ate them. And I satisfied my hunger. And then I moved on. Now, what will happen if I say these kinds of things? The elephant is one thing entering into the ear. These two are Viruddha Dharma. Viruddha Dharma. Just the size is so different. The stone is there, and how can you eat the stone? Viruddha Dharma. A human being cannot consume a stone, and even if they consume, it can only cause problems, cannot be good for the body. And so with these kinds of Viruddha Dharmas, what do you make out of all this? So then what will happen if I talk like this? And the first time you gave me the benefit of doubt. Second time you're a bit disturbed. Third time I say it seriously and move on. And then what will happen? Then I think what will happen is, I'm guessing now. So there will be a WhatsApp group. One of you will start a WhatsApp group. What happened to Jayakumarji? And then add everybody else. Everybody except me. Everybody will be added into the WhatsApp group and say, what happened? Did you hear this? Did you hear that? Were you there in the class yesterday? And he's talking about eating stones and all that. And then everybody says, yeah, I know. I was also wondering the same thing. And then Mohiniji says this. And then Bhagya comes up and says, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I was also thinking of asking. And this goes on, discussion. Then somebody says, Rukminiji is in Coimbatore. We should ask Rukminiji. Maybe she has seen him or something. And so this goes on because concern is there. Concern is there because for it's been 1 year now, everything has been going fine, and now suddenly his language has changed, and we don't know what happened. We need to inquire. This is what will happen. This Purva Pakshi is saying the same thing. How is this possible? Nanu. He says, Nanu. I can't digest what you said. This is what Purva Pakshi say. Too much. This Tattvamasi equation is way too much for me to handle. That is what he's saying. Let us translate this now and then we will stop. So this sentence we can translate like this. From the sentence, Tattvamasiti Mahavakyat, right? Vakyam is sentence. So from the sentence, you are that, within quotes. From the sentence, you are that. Within brackets, you can say, which reveals the oneness between the individual and the total. From the sentence, you are that, within brackets, which reveals the oneness between the individual and the total. How can there be the knowledge of non-difference? How can there be the knowledge of non-difference? Abheda buddhi, right? How can there be the knowledge of non-difference between the two? Ubhayoho. So that ubhayoho word means two, of the two, between the two. So how can there be knowledge of non-difference between the two? Hyphen, begin hyphen, the jiva who has the I notion, jivasya sahankarasya, the jiva who has the I notion or ahankara, who is of limited knowledge, kinchignya, kinchignasya. The jiva who has the I notion, who is of limited knowledge, kama, and Ishvara, who is devoid of the I notion, who is devoid, D-E-V-O-I-D, devoid of the I notion, comma, who is all-knowing, sarvajna, who is all-knowing, another hyphen, hyphen end, because the two, namely Jiva and Ishvara, because the two, being possessed of contradictory attributes, being possessed of contradictory qualities. Ubhayoho viruddha dharma krantatvat. That is his objection. So from the sentence which reveals the oneness between the individual and the total, you are that. How can there be knowledge of non-difference between the two? Namely, the jiva who has the ahankara, I notion, who is limited in knowledge, and Ishvara, who is devoid of ahankara and who is all-knowing, because these two, jiva and Ishvara, possessing contradictory qualities or attributes. So he is raising a question. So we will see how this question is going to be answered. So he's saying there is no yogyata. Yogyata. So the elephant and the ant are identical. If I say, what are you talking? Elephant means it's a giant, and ant, we all know ant. And how can you say these two are identical? That is the question. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah.
So this is based on the last class, which I was hearing. I was absent for the last class. So again, the question is because of Maya. So about Maya again. So the Maya, I understood that. Let me define what I understood so that I can say what I am not following. Maya is, I understand it is, you cannot say it is, you cannot say it is not. Okay. And it obscures the Brahman, right? So the equation which you said yesterday in the last class, the Maya as Upadhi with Brahman makes it Ishvara, or is it is Ishvara, is Ishvara. So I'm more comfortable in the other concept, the school of thought, where the creation doesn't happen. It is, if it happens, it is duality. So it immediately strikes my mind the meaning of that, because now it is always existing, and hence there is no creation. Now, when this has been said that Maya as Upadhi with Brahman means Ishvara, so it immediately strikes me like sort of dualism. So even though I understand independently the definition of Maya and Brahman, as I said, like Maya obscures Brahman till the knowledge happens. But with that equation, sort of, I have confusion again. So that's my question.
Yeah. So, see, two things. First, Maya obscures Brahma. So, Maya obscures Brahma, if you say, then we are saying Brahma can be obscured. Brahma may be very big, maybe strong, very powerful, etc. But it can be obscured. So we don't say Brahma is obscured. Saying Brahma is obscured is like saying the snake obscures the rope. So does the snake obscure the rope? If you ask this question, you have to think about it. Hey, all that is there is the rope. All that is there is the rope. So what happened? Why don't you see the rope, Prasad? If I say, then Prasad says the snake obscures the rope. So we have to think about this a little bit. And we say, no, nothing really obscures the rope. So there is a projection being made in that case. There is a projection. I project the snake on the rope. And that snake is really my creation. It is not Ishvara's creation. Correct? That snake on the rope is my creation, Jiva Srishti, not Ishvara Srishti. So we need to separate Jiva Srishti from Ishvara Srishti. Okay. So Ishvara Srishti is this Jagat. And anything beyond that is, they say value add, these days in companies, it's a very big thing. They have to add value. What value is employee adding to the company? Value add. Somebody sent me a invite from LinkedIn. I've stopped going to LinkedIn, but I get emails sometimes. You get emails. So many people have anniversaries. So many people, please congratulate so and so. All these emails I get. Okay, so I watch that. Somebody accepts my invitation or sent me an invitation or accept my invitation, I think, because he is a very good speaker, very knowledgeable person. I think somewhere LinkedIn suggested that it makes suggestions. So I invited him. And he responds and he says, I'm ready to add value. This is how he responds. And I was a bit taken aback. This is what, some kind of business or what? I am not doing business with you. So add value. So this value add is there, idea is there. And so any value addition to this Jagat is Jiva Srishti. This snake is Jiva Srishti. And any projection I make which is not in keeping with the reality is my own Srishti, is my own creation. Okay, so I have some credit. I can take some credit. To the extent that I am projecting, all that belongs to me. So the first sentence is, Maya obscures Jiva, it appears, but it need not obscure, obscures Brahma, if we say. It need not obscure. Maya is there. And as long as I am under the spell of avidya, we will say Maya is the cause of that. But if Maya were to really obscure Brahma, then there is no way I can identify Brahma. There is no way. So this so-called obscuring is only temporary. So avidya will take care of Maya. So that is the thing we need to note here. That Maya is introduced to explain this Anadi Kala Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Ishvara Srishti. And the minute I see it, the minute I see the rope, then suppose somebody asks, where is the snake? What happened to the snake? What can you say? What will you say? If you say, I'm sorry, I thought it was a snake. Then what? What happened to the snake? You can't say the snake went away. Because if for you to say the snake went away, the snake must have been there to begin with.
Yes.
Correct? Must have been there to begin with. Then only you can say, oh, the snake was there, the stupid snake. We use all these adjectives, stupid snake and all that. And stupid snake was there and it went away. No, you can't make that statement. Then what happened to, then we have to say the snake was my projection, and due to knowledge I do not make the projection anymore. Therefore this Srishti can very well be there, and that's why the second point you made, Prasad, I am more comfortable with the Srishti being there all the time. If you say, what Srishti are you talking about? What Srishti are you talking? We are questioning that Srishti itself. We are questioning that world which you call Srishti. That itself we are questioning. And we are saying, we are talking about this Mithya and Satyam. Do you see everything as Mithya or not? This is the most important question to ask. And if you see everything as Mithya, then the problem is solved. Everything is there and Satyam is all that is there. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Brahma Mokkate, Para Brahma Mokkate. Correct? So that is what the Shastram is trying to teach us. So, but if you are comfortable with the Srishti was always there, if you say, then careful, because anything that you point to and you say it is always there, that doesn't exist. That is not possible. Because everything has a Janma, and if it has Janma, it has to have a Maranam also. Correct? So you cannot talk about a world that always is. Not possible. I like this world, I love this world, and it always was there. It is now, it always will be there. That statement even a physicist will not accept. Even forget Vedanta. Leave alone Vedanta. Physicists also won't accept that. World is constantly changing. And so our Shastram talks about pralaya. Pralaya. So laya is there. Every day for the human being goes to sleep. The world for the jiva does not disappears completely. That is called laya. We call it laya. Same thing. This srishti that you say is always there. The Shastram says it won't be there all the time. And pralaya will be there after so many yugas. Every so many yuga cycle, pralaya is there. So the world that you say is always there is actually not a correct statement.
No,
World is mithya.
I would rather say, creation does not happen according to Advaita. If I say that.
Creation does not
happen according to Advaita.
So according to Advaita, creation has to be explained. We can't ignore creation. Vedanta, Advaita doesn't ignore anything. Everything has to be explained. So the table we look at, what is this table that you're talking about? It is wood. And wood means what? It is fiber. Fiber means what? It is cellulose. Cellulose means what? It is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Carbon means what? This is what Vedanta does. And finally, what exists is only Satyam. And that is what sustains the table. And table is Mithya. This is what Advaita says. So, Srishti, Advaita is not afraid of Srishti. Srishti is there. Advaita only analyzes the Srishti and says that the Srishti is Mithya. That is what we say. So Maya, I'll mention about Maya another time, perhaps when we study in detail. Maya is like, yeah, go ahead, Anirudh.
This prompted a question, I guess. At some point, maybe we've discussed it, and I need a refresher. Maybe Atma and Paramatma is. I mean, are these synonymous, or are these to be taken as synonymous, or is Paramatma an entity to be, or a concept to be well, Paramatma? So beyond, is there something like that is going to that needs to be sort of analyzed, thought through, or understood further?
Yeah, so Satchidananda is one, Brahma. But then that same Brahma, when we refer to our human body and ourselves, this Jiva, then we generally use the word Atma for it. Atma to refer to the Brahma that is manifest as this human body. Brahma that is manifest as this human body is referred to as Atma.
Okay.
Now, I wish there was an example. A wave is there. And wave, of course, is a manifest object like the human body. And if you were to call that water by a different name, then that name would be Atma.
Okay.
And Paramatma, if you look at the whole creation, whole Srishti, and what is the content of that, if you ask, it is that same water, same ocean has that same water, which is there in the wave also. And so the water in the wave I refer to as Atma, and the water in the ocean I refer to as Paramatma. Okay. Paramatma. So Paramatma, then comes Ishvara, Sopadhi, remember the Sopadhi. Upadhi, Maya being the Upadhi, that
Yes.
Brahma is looked upon as Ishvara. Brahma is
Yes.
looked upon as Ishvara. So, a statement we will say is Ishvara Satyam or Mithya?
Okay.
Okay, these questions are very relevant and appropriate. And so, we will say that status of being Ishvara is Mithya. Ishvaratvam is Mithya. Ishvara, also in some context, they will say Mithya. Because Ishvara means attributes. Correct?
Yes.
Sarva Karanam.
Yes.
The one who created this world is Ishvara. If you say, yeah, okay, then you've attributed a particular quality to Brahma, and therefore whatever comes out of that attribution, in this case Ishvara, is Mithya. Because Brahma has no attributes. Correct. So Upadhi Vedat. So therefore, because the Upadhi is different, we use the word Jivaha, Atma and Jivaha, and Brahma and Ishvara. That is the context. The context is what makes the difference in our usage.
Okay.
But in this text, if you notice, in the I think he's dropped the word Brahma, right? He uses Atma only. Even for Ishvara, he uses Atma. If you look at 3.3, he says Mayopadhisan Atma Ishvaraha iti uchyate. He could have said Mayopadhi son Brahma Ishvaraha iti uchyate. He could have said that. That would generally, that is the statement that is made. So Brahma appears as Ishvara because of Maya Upadhi. Or Brahma takes on the role of Ishvara because of Maya Upadhi. He could have said that, but he says Atma. He uses the word Atma there. So he's saying no, Atma and Brahma are identical. So I can use any one word. Any word.
Okay.
So they are identical, but in certain contexts we use Atma, in certain contexts we use Brahma.
Wouldn't it be the Samashti view and the Vyashti view? Atma is the Vyashti and Samashti view is Ishvara?
Yeah, so exactly. So that when we refer to the Vyashti, we generally use the word Atma. And Vyashti means this microcosm, this body, this Jiva. And Samashti is the Jagat, the whole, the entire cosmos, the entire universe. And we use the word Brahma or Paramatma in those contexts. Correct. Vyashti, Samashti. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Good. So we will stop with that. It's about 8 o'clock here.